Hey guys, welcome back to Lush Aqua. So in today's video, I'm going to be trimming the plants in my Buddha aquarium. Now the plants in this aquarium are overgrown and the water level has been lowered by evaporation. But the plants are really healthy in this aquarium because I have been using a timer on my lights and my CO2. As you can see, the Rotala Macrandra Bangladesh in this aquarium has started growing in its immersed form. It has grown out of the water surface and started growing from submerged to immersed form. If some of you like that effect or want that effect in their aquarium, they can use this plant as well. It is growing really beautifully in my tank, but I am going to be cutting this off and doing a major trimming on this aquarium right now. Also, because of the lack of flow, I have gotten this green algae in the front on these plants, and I will be removing this as well. And also I've got some in the back right here. Now I don't really have to remove this algae because I am going to be trimming the plants once and for all, but just to show you, I will show you how to remove this algae if you have to manually do it yourself. Now never try to remove this algae, especially the green hair algae or the brown hair algae, with your hands, because you will be struggling and you will break off some plants as well. There is a easier method to do this. I suggest you use a steel fork or a wooden fork to do this. You can easily use this fork to grab hold of some algae and rotate the fork round like you would eat noodles, and that's how most of the algae comes off without breaking any plants. Now this is a good technique and I have been using it for a really long time and it really works well, so you can try this as well. Now once it's out, this is how you can do it, and you just need to remove it and keep doing it. Now this is how it looks. You can just discard that. Now I would have to do it behind as well, but I'll just go ahead and start trimming instead of wasting my time on this. But this is how you do it. Now next, I'm just going to go ahead and take my aquascaping scissor and start chopping off the plants. It will be really difficult to cut the plants or give it any initial shape with such dense overgrowth, but I will cut majority of the plants with the bigger scissor and then try to give it shape with a smaller scissor. It does get really difficult to use a bigger aquascaping scissor in a smaller aquarium. I know a lot of beginner hobbyists get really excited and go ahead and get the aquascaping kit, the scissor kit with the bent scissor and the straight scissor, but they don't realize that it would be really comfortable to just use a smaller scissor, because a smaller scissor is much easier to use. Now if I use a smaller scissor here, it would end up taking me a really long time, so I'm going to use a bigger scissor first just to cut all the overgrowth, and then maybe use a smaller scissor to shape it. Now as you cut it, you should remove the plants out of the aquarium as well, because you need to create some visibility for yourself. So every time I chop off a portion of plants, I remove it from the aquarium and add it to a bucket of aquarium water itself. Now later I can use these trimmings to either replant it in this aquarium or use it in any other aquariums of mine. For now, I'm not going to be using any of these trimmings in this aquarium because the plants existing in this aquarium or the plants that I've just trimmed are dense enough. If I add any of these trimmings back to this aquarium or try to replant them, the trimmed plants won't get enough light and they might end up dying, which would cause an algae issue. So I'm just going to be using my bent scissor here to give it a little shape. Now I'm giving it a little elevation as always, and that's how I like it. There's not much you can do with this aquascape because it is a really small 14-inch cube aquascape. Now one big mistake beginner hobbyists make while trimming their plants for the first few months is they trim the plants too much, as in they keep chopping the plants too many times. That's not required, guys. You just need to make one swift cut. That would not let your plant go into any stress, and that would help it grow back faster as well. So you just need to make one swift cut, decide a height that you're going to be taking and just make swift cuts. Now this will come through experience, so as you practice you will get this better. After chopping most of the plants, I am going to be using my aquarium net to remove the excess plants that have been trimmed out, so I can see the aquascape better. Once you see it better, you will be able to tell if any of the plants require trimming again. So it's always good to use a net to remove any of the excess plants. Now I'm just going to be using a smaller scissor to trim the foreground and the midground plants. I don't think so the foreground has grown really well because it didn't get enough light, but I'm just going to be using the small scissor to trim the midground plants. Now even for the midground, I'm not going to be hacking the plant at all. I'm just going to be making swift cuts, just one cut to chop the plant off into two. Now when it comes to mid-ground plants, I always like trimming them one species after the other. So once I'm done with one species, I move on to the next. I'm going to be also trimming this cryptocarine Tropica here, moving this CO2 diffuser at one side for now. I'm going to trim all the dead leaves. Now you got to trim all the dead leaves because these leaves don't come back to life. It's not like they regenerate themselves, so it's just going to decay in the water and cause more algae issues. So you got to trim out all the dead leaves. After trimming out all the dead leaves of all the plants, I'm going to be cleaning the front glass and all the side panels as well with a credit card. Now you can use a blade as well, but I use a credit card for this. I have shown you this method in a lot of other videos as well. After using a credit card for the harder algae, just to polish the glass, I like using a brush. Now I like using the brush in circles because in my opinion that works better and I receive better results by using the brush in circles. So I first move the brush front to back and then I polish it by moving it in circles. Now once I'm done brushing all the sides of the aquarium, I'm going to be using my siphon pipe to remove any debris from the bottom of the aquarium. I'm going to be tapping the substrate to remove any uneaten food or poop stuck in the substrate as well and give it a nice bottom siphoning. Now this is a really important step as well. A lot of beginner hobbyists skip this out. A water change, guys, doesn't mean removing water and adding new water back. It means removing everything that could eventually spoil the water quality. So it is very important in an aquascape to bottom siphon very well. You need to tap the substrate as well to remove any of this debris out very well. Now what I'm doing here is siphoning any dead leaves out from the plant itself. If you don't want to cut them out and if the plant leaves are pretty rotten, you could use a siphon pipe to remove them off the plant without a problem. But always make sure your bottom is really clean and all your substrate is siphoned, well siphoned, so there are no spikes in the parameters of your aquarium. Now after siphoning out almost 60% of the water, I'm going to be just removing out my siphon pipe and adding fresh water to this aquarium. While adding fresh water, don't forget to add a water conditioner to your aquarium so you remove any chlorine, chloramine and heavy metals from your aquarium if you're adding tap water especially. Today I'm also going to be adding the NT Labs liquid filter, which is a water clarifier which would make the water really crystal clear after maybe 6 to 7 hours. But that's it for this video guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Also don't forget to subscribe to Lush Aqua and click the bell icon. For now I'm just going to wait for the water of this aquarium to get super clear. And also, did you realize there were 18 fish in this aquarium? Because before we cleaned it or trimmed it, I couldn't tell. I also am left with a huge load of plants. Now I will be actually treating these plants and giving them out to any beginner hobbyists, any of my friends who need it. But for now, all good. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye, take care.